In the Karen case, if you've been following it, of course, you know about now disgraced trooper Michael Proctor saying that he hadn't found any nudes yet. Well, what happens in reality when a police officer is in fact found downloading nudes from people he's stopped?
You lost. And you know what you did.
I am attorney Andrew Myers, just outside of Boston on the East Coast. Way out on the West Coast is California attorney Yolie Medina. Yoli, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Hanging in there. Trying to get away and cover some other cases, but karenread case just keeps coming back. And there was a story in the news as we're reporting this now that a police officer was actually caught, stopping women in traffic stops, taking their cell phones back to his cruiser, looking through them and actually finding some material that he texted or emailed to himself. And I don't know, I guess I shouldn't be shocked by that. I always ask you, were you shocked by that?
Well, yeah, I know that it happened. I know that in the Karen case, Proctor was looking for nudes. I don't think he ever found any. At least he didn't report that he did to his cronies. But I'm surprised that people are just so willingly giving their phones to cops. I mean, that surprises me, and that the cop would actually take it, to his patrol car at a traffic stop. You don't have to give your phones to cops, right?
Oh, I agree 100%. And we'll get into the legalities of that in a minute. But let's, here's the headline. Ex-Missouri officer admits to searching a woman's phones for nude photos. We'll give credit to USA Today because I looked at a lot of different articles on this, and this was a pretty good one. A former Missouri police officer has admitted to pulling over 20 women's vehicles and searching their phones to obtain nude photos and videos over a period of about 3 months in 2024, prosecutors said.
In a plea agreement, so he's pled guilty. In a plea agreement reached with federal prosecutors on December 2nd, former Florissant officer Julian Alcala pleaded guilty to 20 counts of deprivation of rights under color of law, online records show. In exchange for the plea, prosecutors dropped 1 count of destroying records in a federal investigation.
So I guess what happened is that he would pull these women over in Missouri, and in addition for asking for license and registration, he would ask for insurance information and ask for their phones. Alcala, 30, had admitted in U.S. District Court in St. Louis to unlawfully searching the phones of 20 women during traffic stops to obtain nude photos and videos, the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of Missouri said in a news release. Prosecutors said Alcala had pulled over these women while on duty in uniform and in a marked police cruiser between February 6, 2024 and May 18, 2024.
Prosecutors said Alcala took each victim's cell phone under the guise of confirming their insurance coverage or vehicle registration. He told 19 of his victims he needed to use their phones to check their insurance coverage, and told one victim that he was confirming her vehicle registration, according to the plea agreement.
You know what's really wrong? I can't say it's what's really wrong about this. This is wrong on so many levels, but the last time I got pulled over was a while ago. It was a while ago, but I handed the police officer my license. You know what he said? He said, "We don't need that, Mr. Myers. I have everything on my laptop back in the cruiser." So why is he even asking for this? And I live in a kind of a little, I'm not going to call it a backwater, but I live in a small town in southern New Hampshire, 40 miles north of Boston. And if those police officers in that, I'll say small town, have everything on their laptop, why do they even need to ask for anything anymore in 2026?
Right, especially your phone.
Never ever give the police your phone. They have no right. They have absolutely every right in the world to ask for your license and your registration. I'm not questioning that. I'm not saying you shouldn't. As my father taught me many, many, many years ago, be polite. The trooper has the power to do anything to you that he wants within the law. He can take you light. He can be polite. Don't be cute trying to talk your way out of it. Be polite, respectful. He's a trooper. You're not. But if they ask for your phone, you have absolutely no reason to give it to them. Not at all. We'll get back to that newspaper article because I thought it was interesting. But here is how a reporter at KSDK TV in St. Louis, Missouri, reported this the day of the plea in court.
Victims filled the courtroom, and we heard from two of them who fought back tears. One victim shared how during a traffic stop in 2024, Julian Alcala stole private medical photos she had taken after a surgery. She said months later, the FBI showed up at her door with those photos. The victim said the badge gave him the power, and he misused that power.
So this is wrong on a lot of different levels, but here he's taking material that is, medical material. I mean, that's medical provider patient confidentiality for one. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say that what kind of sick mind pulls over women so that he can get pictures of them? I mean, there's a lot of magazines and a lot of things online that they can look at. Why is this guy wanting to stop women and get pictures? I don't understand that.
And you're an officer of the law. You spend a lot of time, and I don't know how much time, maybe one or two of our viewers who have been through it or who have a family member who have been through it. It takes a lot of time. You have to go to the, here we call it the Standards and Training Academy. We did a story, the sad story about Enrique Delgado-Garcia. He was going through the Massachusetts State Police Training Academy. So whether you're on the local level, the state level, it takes time. You got to go through this grueling, and unfortunately more grueling than we want to think about in Enrique's case, training. And then you take an oath, and you would think that it would be impressed upon, and this was a young officer too, that you have a duty to the community. You're a member of the community, and your job is to secure the safety of the community. And so how it would even enter his mind to do something like this?
And was he picking these women? Did he see them in a car and say, "Ooh, she looks cute. Let me pull her over for some, imaginary infraction"?
I can't imagine, but it is true that some of the speed limits are so low that I'll admit it. I go over the speed limits. I mean, some of the speed limits and they should be low. And I'm not advocating that anybody should break the law. I'm not advocating that at all. But I remember many, 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 many years ago, I think I think the ink was still wet on my driver's license. And we were just talking about it, us kids. And one kid said, well, whatever the speed limit is, it's really 5 over that. They never stop you for any less than 5 over. And I'm like, really? I don't know. I don't think that's a rule. Do you think that's a rule?
I don't know. No, I don't know. I don't think so.
You've never heard that?
No.
Or was that just a stupid kids talk?
Probably stupid kids talk, but I don't know. I don't know.
So let's finish up this report from this good reporter at KSDK TV in St. Louis, Missouri.
This sentencing comes nearly 2 years after investigators say Julian Alcala abused his power as a Florissant police officer to secretly search women's phones during traffic stops. Prosecutors say between February and May of 2024, Alcala pulled women over, took their phones back to his patrol car to verify insurance, then searched them without a warrant. Investigators say he targeted at least 20 women, sending their nude photos and videos to his personal phone.
Okay, so I just had to make an observation that these roads, and we don't know whether these roads that they're showing in this TV report are the roads where he stopped people, but they're not really busy roads where I drive in the greater Boston area. I don't know about you, but they're busy. They're never this empty. Even in the middle of the night, there's just so many cars. But if the roads are this empty, it would be pretty easy for him to have, seen who the driver was
Right.
and identify them. And as you said, said there's, a pretty girl.
And speaking of speeding,
Yeah.
there was recently just a case here in California on one of our freeways where a cop was going 130 miles per hour.
Oh my God.
Was not in a high-speed chase, was going 130 miles an hour, crashed into a car with some young adults that were coming back from a concert. And he stopped and he looked at the damage to his car, and then he took off and then made a phone call to report the accident and not disclosing that he caused the accident. Then when he went back to the scene, a drunk driver had slammed into the car and the car burst in flames and these people burned to death.
That is horrible. I think I saw something about. I think you
I'll
sent me the
link. You can put the link in the description.
Okay,
I'll
we'll
send
do
you the
that. We'll
link.
put the link that you had sent me. That
horrifying.
reminds me of the case of the accident here in Massachusetts way back in December 2023 when Sergeant Scott Quigley was driving allegedly with a 0.11 blood alcohol level, and he crossed the center line, slammed into a van in which a 30-some-year-old disabled man was riding, and the disabled man, as a result of that accident, passed away, and it was covered up entirely since December of 2023 until just now, about 6 weeks ago, before we're recording this episode. So, talk about civil rights violations, and we're gonna in a couple of minutes. That California case and the Scott Quigley alleged case in Massachusetts. I mean, how do people get away with this? How does that go for so long?
I don't know.
I don't either.
I don't even understand what kind of screening they have for police officers, because I would assume, I'm not going to assume anything, but I would think that police cities, police departments would screen the people that they hire to make sure they have good judgment, to make sure. I applied for the FBI a long time ago in the early 90s, and I had to take an MMPI test, and I had to take a math test. I had to take all this stuff, and it was under the language program. But boy, it was rigorous, and so I want to know what they're doing to screen these people, and what are they doing?
No, I hear you. One of my former interns went on to the CIA. He was in law school. Very bright guy, really, really bright guy. I would give him research assignments, and boy, he did a fantastic job. But that was the level on which I knew the guy. When he applied for the CIA, they called me. They probably called 1 million people. But they started asking me questions about his personal habits, what he did as he was growing up. I didn't know the guy that well. He was an intern. He came to my office. He did research. We were friendly, but on a professional level, I didn't know his whole life story. And I finally said to the guy, what I just said to you, and they understood, but they really pick your brain. They were picking my brain just to see if I knew anything that I wasn't telling them. And I told them everything. About 5 times, and they finally, gave up and said, well, Myers isn't going to give us anything. So he got there, and I haven't heard from him since. But anyhow, you know who you are out there. If you want to give me a call, you can. Anyhow, so let's get back to finishing up this report from Missouri about this case, and then we'll move on and relate it back into the Karen Read case.
In court today, the judge asked Alcala when he decided it was okay to do this. Alcala responded it was never okay and admitted he thought he could get away with it. Does your client feel remorse for what he did, and what does Julian Alcala want to say to the victims today?
He said what he said in court. Not only does he feel remorse, he's completely accepted responsibility. He understands that his conduct was
With all due respect, Yoli, do you believe this, or is he sorry he got caught?
It's hard to tell, but I think it's more that he's sorry he got caught.
very severe meaningful violation of their privacy.
I take today as a real vindication for the victims. I want to make sure the victims are front and center in this case. 20 different women, all who went through this absurd, humiliating experience.
Alcala also apologized to the victims in court. The judge sentenced Alcala to 24 months in federal prison, ordered him to pay $2,600 to 2 victims, and allowed him to voluntarily surrender at a later date.
I don't know if $2,600 is enough. I really don't. I mean, if I don't think there's any dollar amount. I mean, that's what people say, but I mean, I think it's true. I don't think there's any dollar amount that's really going to compensate for that.
That was for restitution, right? But I mean, they can sue civilly,
Good point. Just like Karen Read did, she was found not guilty, and so then she brought a lawsuit. So no, you're right. You're right. So let's finish.
The guy needs mental health. I think that anybody who would stop somebody under the color of law and go and get their phone and mislead somebody, say, I need your phone to check this. And, they give them the phone, which, for me as a lawyer, I would never do that. But just mainstream people, people that work and go, do things with their kids. I mean, what? They trust them. They give them the phone. And then he goes and gets nudes. I would think that there's something wrong with that person. That person needs some kind of, I don't know, a brain rework.
Yeah, and the other thing is, I want to be clear about this, and this program is not legal advice. We're just having a conversation where hopefully, here for educational and maybe entertainment purposes, people would say, but it is black letter law that the police don't have any right to take your cell phone. Now, if they stop you, you got to give them your license and registration. Hopefully that's in your wallet and your glove compartment, and you give them that. Now, the insurance information, if they don't have that on their little laptop back in their cruiser, well, they're back in the dark ages, because even in my little town, they have that in their cruiser. But if you have to, and my clients often, they come in and I ask them what their insurance is, and that's what they do. They show me. They have it on their iPhone. And that's fine. That's all you need. You just look at it, Officer Smith. Look at the person's iPhone.
And I don't even want to roll my window down. I just roll it down enough so they can hear me. Well, I haven't been stopped, but that's what I would do. And then if they wanted to see a picture of my insurance card, I would just show it through the window on my phone if I had it on my phone.
You've never been stopped ever, Yolie?
No, I have been stopped, but not lately. Not lately.
No, I haven't been stopped for a long time. I have not been stopped for a long time, but I mean, license, yes. Registration, yes. Insurance. I have an insurance card. I was in a little teeny tiny little accident. Nobody was hurt last summer. And I had the insurance card in my glove box. Of course, I'm of the generation that I am, and I like paper and cards and, stuff like that. But, if you have it on your phone, that's fine. Show it to the officer. But absolutely black letter law, the police do not have a right to take your cell phone and take it back to their cruiser. I mean, that's a Fourth Amendment issue. If they have probable cause, and only if they have probable cause, they would have to go back to the station, write up an affidavit, have that go through channels at the law enforcement agency, send it through channels, then have the local prosecution take it to court, and then the court would have to approve the warrant. And only then after that do they have any kind of a right at all. The Fourth Amendment is very clear, and actually the case law that's been promulgated through the years. Now, we didn't talk about this before we hit the go button. Do you agree with that? You don't have to.
No, we didn't. But the other thing I was going to say is that even if a police officer bullies you and says, get out of the car, I need to see your phone. No.
Call 911.
No. Yeah, call 911 or just say no. That if they say we're going to arrest you, arrest me. But my phone's coming with me.
Right.
And then you'll have a case against the officer because he's not supposed to be taking your phone. And this is just a general, circumstances vary, right?
Yeah.
But this is not necessarily legal advice. It's just educational information that as a preliminary rule, you do not have to give them your phone.
Absolutely not. You have to give them the information, but that's it. So let's finish up with this news article we were taking a look at. Prosecutors said Alcala took each victim's cell phone under the guise of confirming their insurance coverage or vehicle registration. Nuh-uh. He told 19 of his victims he needed to use their phones to check their insurance coverage, and told one victim that he was confirming her vehicle registration, according to the plea agreement.
Alcala then searched through the phones without a warrant or probable cause. The U.S. Attorney's Office said he used his own cell phone to take photographs of one or more images that portrayed either victim or a loved one or both in a partial or full state of nudity that he found in various folders and apps. Oh my God. So it was a victim or a loved one. Oh my God.
Yeah. So now let's go back to this first sentence of that paragraph. I mean, this is the U.S. attorney, so don't take it from me. I just told you that you don't have to give your phone to the cops. This is a U.S. attorney. They work for the Justice Department, and he's saying that taking the phone is a violative of the Fourth Amendment, and they had no warrant or probable cause. So don't take it from me, folks. A grand jury indicted the former officer in November 2024, and prosecutors accused him of depriving the women of their rights to be free from unreasonable search and seizure. At the time, prosecutors said Alcala was the second former law enforcement officer to be indicted on such charges.
The second one.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to get to that.
Okay, Alcala is scheduled to be sentenced on March 11, 2026, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office. Each count of deprivation of rights under the color of law is punishable by 1 year in prison or a fine of up to $100,000 or both.
And of course, that has happened at the time that we're reading this article. Alcala's first victim was pulled over on February 6th of 2024, according to the plea deal. During the traffic stop, he took her cell phone back to his vehicle and found a video of the woman engaged in certain activity.
He then texted the video to his personal cell phone, the plea agreement states. Alcala also discovered a nude photo of the woman and used his phone to take a picture of the image. What kind of sick...
Now, did he actually use her phone to text her image to him?
Yeah.
Is he that smart?
Yeah, he then texted the video to his
From her
phone.
From her phone.
From her phone.
And he didn't think for a minute that she would see that, oh, somebody texted this to the officer's phone, and now she's got the officer's. Brilliant. Brilliant.
That's what I'm saying. This person, there's something wrong. I mean, there's something wrong upstairs.
Following the traffic stop, the victim said she looked at her deleted text messages and found the video had been sent to a phone number that was unknown to her, according to the plea deal. She then reported the incident to the FBI.
The FBI, of course, traced the phone number to Alcala and launched an investigation into the incident, according to the plea agreement. The FBI executed court-approved search warrants of Alcala's phone and his iCloud storage, which led to the discovery of 19 additional victims.
Yikes, 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 yikes. The images, photograph, and that sounds like, Michael Proctor, who said, oh, well, I got rid of my phone and my new phone deletes everything every 30 days. Nuh-uh. It's all up in the cloud, guys. It's all up in the cloud. This is 2026. The images photographed by the defendant contained individual females in a state of nudity, reads the plea agreement. These images were stored in various places on the victim's phones, including the camera roll, with text messages with loved ones, and in folders within applications on their phones, including Snapchat.
After Alcala was indicted in November 2024, the Florissant Police Department said in a statement that Alcala had resigned in June 2024 after the FBI informed the department of its investigation. At the time, Alcala had been employed at the department for 11 months.
We are disgusted at this behavior, which is a complete betrayal of the values we uphold, and in no way, this is a statement from the police department, that in no way reflects the professionalism and integrity of our dedicated officers, the department said. We recognize the gravity of this breach of trust and its impact on our community. So Florissant is, I think I'm saying that right. I listened to the news report. If not, let me know, as you always do. Florissant is a northern suburb of St. Louis, Missouri.
And they need to screen their officers better. There needs to be a mental health screening. I don't know if there was or wasn't in this case, but it needs to be more rigorous if there was.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say.
I would agree with that. So now there's
Okay.
another story here. You can start us off with this story. Former Missouri State Highway Patrol trooper accused of similar crimes.
Alcala was the second former law enforcement officer to be indicted for destroying records in a federal investigation and deprivation of rights under the color of law in November 2024, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office.
What does color of law mean? What color of law means simply is that something is done by someone who works for the government during the course of their employment. That's all the
And
color
they
of
use
law.
their badge. They use their badge as I'm an authority. You got to
Right.
comply. You don't
Right.
have to comply. Giving your phone.
So, McKnight, where are we? McKnight searched the phones after stopping most of the women for alleged traffic violations, according to the indictment.
He took their phones under the auspices of confirming that they had insurance coverage or verifying their identification, the U.S. Attorney's Office said.
Prosecutors said McKnight used his personal cell phone to take pictures of nude images he found on his victims' phones. He later deleted the photos from his phone, according to the indictment. But, you know, you can pretend to remove stuff from your cell phones, but it's still there. It is still there. And people, you know, I can't do it. You know, I'm not, you know, Mr. Perfect on electronic stuff. I'd like to think I know more than I do, but I mean, once you delete stuff, the data is still there. It's just that the connections in the registry or whatever they call it are removed, and it leaves that data for something else to come in and erase it. But technical people, tell me how wrong I am in the electronic description of it. But that's the bottom line, is that you know, when you delete something, that doesn't mean it's not there for the forensic experts to be able to find it.
And Proctor, going back to Proctor, if there are photos of women on his phone that he emailed or texted to himself, and I'm saying if because we don't know,
right?
Would that lead to criminal prosecution?
I would think so. It you know, it depends on the context. I mean, if he did do what this officer did, if he was, you know, stopping people and taking their cell phones and looking, I mean, and this is all speculation, we don't know, but you asked me a question and my answer is that if the circumstances were similar, my answer to you would be yes, but that's not the circumstances that we know of yet, that we don't know that today. So you mentioned Mr. Proctor, and I'm going to pull up Karen Read's amended complaint. This is Karen Read's amended complaint, and in our previous episode, which I can put down in the description area, we actually went through the amended complaint as to what's different, what's new. But let's go down to paragraph 10 to show you that, yes, this is part of a civil rights claim. And we're not going to read it all because it's all that stuff that he said on the stand, and it's all disgusting, and I'm not gonna read it. But paragraph 10, we go all the way down to the bottom. Disappointed, he, Proctor, reported that there were, quote, no nudes so far, unquote. In an unfiltered utterance, Proctor revealed his true mindset, hopefully she herself. So, all right, so that's paragraph 10. Now we have to go all the way down to paragraph 86, where, again, in the factual section, just leading up to the counts, several of them for 1986 civil rights violations, Proctor's supervisors were aware of his bias and conflicted relationships in this investigation. They didn't have to guess. Proctor told them he knew the Alberts. Text messages from Proctor to Buchanan and other MSP troopers show Proctor decided to focus suspicion on Ms. Reed to the exclusion of everyone else. He told the reporters something that I am not going to repeat, and that he was searching her phone for nudes of her. So, you know, I mean, they did include that in the federal complaint in the case that's now pending in the federal District Court in Boston. And so that's part of it. That's part of it. Whether he found anything or not in this particular case, I want to take another look at another case in the Boston area. Boston police officer pleads not guilty to manslaughter in a fatal shooting. Nicholas O'Malley was arrested Thursday morning, and that would be March 19th, in connection with the March 11th shooting death of Stevenson King. There's a picture of Boston police officer Nicholas O'Malley, 33, pleaded not guilty to manslaughter in the fatal shooting.
A Boston police officer has been charged with manslaughter as authorities say he shot and killed a suspected carjacker in Roxbury last week after allegedly telling the man, "Bro, I'm gonna effing shoot you."
Nicholas O'Malley, 33, is charged in connection with the death of Stevenson King, 39, in Dorchester. He was arrested Thursday and pleaded not guilty in the Boston Municipal Court's Roxbury Division, keeping his gaze to the floor as prosecutors accused him of unjustified use of deadly force. So now this is a slightly different civil rights violation, but it's a civil rights alleged violation by a police officer using deadly force.
And then it says, what we have here is the unlawful killing of another, Suffolk District Attorney Kevin Hayden told reporters after the hearing. The evidence, as revealed to us through the investigation, is clear, and so we were left with the decision to charge manslaughter in this matter.
No officer ever wants to take a life, ever wants to discharge their firearm, told reporters flanked by dozens of uniformed officers, but we carry that piece of equipment to keep you and your family safe, and we do a very good job at it. A little bit self-aggrandizing, but all right, I'm just reading.
Judge Stephen Kim released O'Malley on personal recognizance and ordered him to surrender any firearms in his possession. It was not immediately clear whether O'Malley remains on active duty.
I would think not. I think anytime there's any type of an incident like this in Massachusetts, they are immediately put on administrative leave. That's my understanding. That's what I've seen. I am going to guess, educated guess, that that's what happened. In a statement, Commissioner Michael Cox, who we've heard of before, said Thursday marked a difficult day for the city and Boston police, but he declined comments on the facts of the case. We rely on the integrity of the criminal justice system and what we do every day. In this case, will be no bit different, Cox said. On behalf of the Boston Police Department, we want to extend our sympathies to all of those impacted.
Every day is a difficult day with the Boston police.
Yes, it is.
Boston officers responded to the reported carjacking near 1500 Tremont Street at around 9:45 p.m. on March 11th and later tracked down a vehicle matching the description near 10 Linwood Square, Cox previously told reporters.
Court documents indicate O'Malley and another officer spotted the vehicle, drew their firearms, and yelled commands to King, who purportedly showed them his hands at all times and partially opened his windows, though he did not unlock or turn the car off.
"Bro, I'm gonna effing shoot you," O'Malley allegedly shouted to King through the window while holstering his firearm in favor of a taser.
So wait a minute. They stopped this car. And the guy that's in the car puts his hands up, and he was apparently showing his hands at all times, and partially opened his window. He might not have unlocked it or turned off the key, but he's like putting his arms up like he's surrendering, and the cop says, "Oh, I'm going to shoot you." I mean, I don't think so.
Yeah.
King immediately put the car in reverse and backed into the cruiser behind him, driving forward, reversing, and pulling forward again in an alleged attempt to flee. As the car began to move forward the last time, authorities say O'Malley drew his firearm again and fired 3 shots at King through the driver's window.
It appears that all 3 bullets struck Mr. King, and 2 of them were found lodged in his body, causing his death, Assistant District Attorney Ian Polenbaum said in court. According to the court documents, King was unarmed and had no weapons with him inside the car.
O'Malley allegedly told investigators he fired his weapon because he believed the reversing vehicle was going to crush a fellow officer. He also said King tried to run us over, according to the court documents, though authorities say that body-worn camera footage revealed neither officer was in danger of being struck. So I think that's going to be important in this case. and that the police officials, the law enforcement officials, the district attorney, they've all looked at this body camera footage, and I'm just waiting. We'll run it, people. We'll run it, dear viewers, if and when it is released. Boston police are loath to release things like that, but I mean, they've made this statement. There was a shooting by a Boston police officer, so I think the public has a right to see those, and I hope we will.
Pollenbaum argued the body cam footage from both officers established that King was maneuvering and clearly trying to drive away rather than run anyone over. In fact, the prosecutor added, the other officer was almost directly across from O'Malley at the time and was in greater danger of being struck by those bullets than he ever was of being struck by the car.
Okay, I think that's enough, don't you, of this
Yeah.
particular article? I think it goes into a lot more background and the legalities of what happened in the court that day, but I think, we're good on that. We're not good on the things that are happening. So those are, some instances of different types of civil rights violations. Of course, in the Karen Read complaint that I looked at just a couple of minutes ago, that's a civil claim. In the Boston police officer shooting that we just read, that's a 1983 civil rights violation for excessive force. And in the case of the officer who stopped and stole women's cell phones, that's a violation of the Fourth Amendment and the right to privacy. I don't know what else to say about this. Do you?
It's disheartening to see that,
Yeah.
because this is what makes people feel uncomfortable around police and law enforcement. And it shouldn't be that way, because not all cops are this way. But nowadays, when you have access to media and something happens and the whole world knows, it's hard. It's hard not to distrust law enforcement. And I understand that. And I don't know what the remedy is other than to screen police officers, state troopers.
No, I agree. It's unfortunate that so many incidents like this come up in different contexts, but why don't we go to our trusty viewers and see what they have to say? Do you want the odds or evens this week?
I'll take the odds.
Okay, you're on.
Okay, so this is a renorim. Okay. I'm with Mr. Myers on this subject. I would be happy to see attorneys from the O'Keefe side appear to be interviewed. It'd be good to see what good faith basis they have for making the claims they make. I'm genuinely interested in knowing. That's a microphone, since you mentioned a phone emoji.
Yeah, we got a lot of emojis. Somehow the emoji didn't print through. It should be, there was an emoji right there and it didn't print through. We said we would reach out. We reached out to the Read attorneys and we heard crickets. And so I said, and I expected to get a lot of grief, but we didn't. I was surprised. I said I would reach out to the O'Keefe's attorneys team and to designate someone to come on. I'll do an interview. It won't take too much of your time. We'll keep it brief, but I'd love to know, your side of the story. I will give you equal time. I promise I won't be abusive like some, podcasters get a horrible name. I'm going to ask you straight questions. I'm going to listen to the answers and we'll move on, because you know what? I'm a member of the bar in Massachusetts, as are most of you. We can talk to each other. Well, I've done it. I've told stories before about how in litigation, in the courtroom, we're at each other's throats, but we go out and have a cup of coffee, or at least stand out in the hall and talk for a little while and chat. So you know what? I'd like to do it. I really would. And I thought I'd get more negative.
Yeah, as someone who has handled cases that initially start with a criminal act and representing families from that aspect, I would love to talk to the O'Keefes, because I've handled cases like that. And it's not uncommon. It's just like the Idaho 4 families suing Washington State University. I've handled cases like that. So it would be nice to hear the O'Keefe side.
Absolutely.
I personally think that the case was not proved in criminal court, and I'm doubtful that it might be proved in civil court, but I would like to hear both sides, the O'Keefe side.
You said it better than I could, but what I was trying to say is that I thought that I was going to get a lot of grief. No. A lot of our commenters, and I think not all, but many of our commenters are on Karen Read's side of the whole thing, and that's fine. So I thought we'd get a lot of grief. No, a lot of our commenters said we would like to hear you interview the O'Keefe attorneys. So the invitation's out there. I'll send them an email. Number 4, Patrick Bradley says, wildly active harkens back to Devers' wildly long time alone with an SUV in the Sally Dally. I think he means the Sally Port. And I think this refers to when we were reading some of the new portions of the new Karen Read amended complaint in the federal court. One of the paragraphs started out that Jennifer McCabe was wildly active. And I remember you read that paragraph, and it just had a lot of different, she deleted 2 screenshots. It went through all of the times that she was active on her phone. So that's what this refers to. Okay, Healthland Forever. They added Canton to this filing. Is this a mistake or maybe because of Lank? There doesn't seem to be any actual complaints against Canton. Well, no. Yes, one of the claims, and I kind of thought this too, because Karen Read's case that ended up in federal court is against Proctor and 2 other cops, and then it's against the quote-unquote House defendants. But yes, the town of Canton was in there, and the claim alleges negligent hiring.
Right.
Negligent hiring. So when they hired Lank, and the others, and I was surprised some of the others weren't included in the complaint, but it is what it is. And so that's what the complaint is against Canton. That is a hard claim to prove. I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's actually negligent hiring, retention, and supervision. Right?
Exactly. Thank you. So that's a hard claim to prove. That's a very hard claim to prove because I've litigated those issues. And but so that's why the town of Canton is in it.
Okay, Linda King 5440. Do you think that due to this getting so serious, somebody will fold and spill their guts? I can't imagine that eventually at least one of these people will finally get so stressed out and just want to finally end this. It's a good question.
Well, my response, I wrote out a response to this one, and my response was, there's no honor amongst thieves, so it's possible that one of them will break and turn on the others, figuring, hey, if I can get immunity, great. On the other hand, in a case like this isn't a lesser crime. This is the big M. This is murder. We're now allowed to say that on YouTube, I think. So we'll find out. But this is murder, and I doubt if it'll happen. We'll see. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1, Kate from Australia. I love it when people tell us that they're commenting from foreign lands. So Kate from Australia says, oh, Jen. Haas long until your deposition. I bet you're looking forward to that. Not. You got to love any plaintiff paperwork that contains names like Yolie, Proctor, Tully, and House defendants. They must be feeling constantly off center these days. Poor babies. Their giant, arrogant egos are definitely dented these days, while they no doubt go around pretending it's all okay, at the same time knowing eyes are constantly on them, and we, the onlookers, are not fooled. All right, I don't know what to say about that one. Do you have any comment on that one?
No, it's just, people get involved in certain things. They sometimes it happens. It's not their fault that it happens that they get involved, but it is what it is. I mean, you can't erase yourself from something that happened, Just
I don't know what else to say. I do want to just add that these are the comments of our viewers, and it is only the comments of our viewers. We love having viewers, and we love hearing all points of view. They often say things that we don't think of, but they are strictly the views of our commenters and don't necessarily reflect the views of this channel. So I don't know. You asked a couple of good questions as we were going through all of those materials, and so one of my questions is, I don't know how to word it. I mean, it was Proctor's conduct speaks for itself. He was discharged, dishonorably discharged. He's been suspended. He's been decertified, although I guess there's still an appeal he can do on that. So it speaks for itself. Does his having, quote unquote, not founding any nudes yet, does that constitute a civil rights violation? I think it's a compendium of everything that he said. Some of the stuff in that paragraph that I refused to read because we've all heard it before, used words that I'm not comfortable saying over again. So,
I think the search for the nudes
yeah,
is an illegal search.
yeah.
Because he was purposefully looking for nudes. I mean, at this point, I don't know. It's just very unprofessional, very terrible. And the things he said about her, it goes to bias and a search that is beyond what a normal investigation would entail.
When they wrote the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution, what they were worried about, of course, there were not cell phones back then. I understand that, but there has been case law that's brought that forward when they wrote the Fourth Amendment, that the people in this country have a right to feel secure in their private homes, safe and secure from unwarranted search and seizure of their personal property. And what that meant is, largely their homes, but that has been expanded over the years. And, cell phones now, our lives are in our cell phones. Our entire lives are in our phones.
I work from my cell phone.
Many people do. I mean, your contacts, your friends, your enemies, your bank accounts, sadly, your everything is in your phone. So, I think my personal opinion is that I think people trust their cell phones too much. I think people put too much stuff on their cell phones, but that's not the issue. That's my personal opinion. The police should not have, any law enforcement should not have the right to rifle through your cell phone without any probable cause, which they don't have in a motor vehicle stop. I don't care if you were speeding, and I'm not saying speeding's a good thing. I don't care if you ran a stop sign. I'm not saying a stop sign is a good thing. But that does not give probable cause to go through all your personal stuff in your phone. It doesn't. So,
if a cop suspects or sees you on your phone while you crash into somebody, I would still not give them my phone.
No.
I would wait. I would not give them my phone. I would say, get a search warrant. If you say you saw me on my phone before the crash, then get a search warrant. You'll have plenty of probable cause if you say you saw me.
Yeah, and in civil cases, bringing it over to the civil side now, in civil cases, we have now in recent years been allowed to get people's cell phone records if it's salient, if it's important. If, in taking your example where you crash into a tree and somebody saw you on your cell phone, now we can get the records to see if you were on the phone or not. I had a case like that where my client and I sat at this very conference room table where I am right now, and we looked at cell phone records. And so that's not unusual in civil cases right now at all. It's just not unusual at all. So anyhow, it will be interesting to see how the Karen Read cases progress. And we will run the body cam if it's disclosed of the Boston incident that we just mentioned. So I always tell people that we do not run ads. We want to keep things moving on the show. We don't ask you for money. If I need a new camera, I'll reach into my pocket and buy one. So we don't ask you for money for anything. All we ask is that you subscribe and hype. And here's Lucky to tell you that it doesn't cost anything to subscribe.
You pay for a subscription?
I do not.
Ask it differently. I'm going to allow that.
Well, you know now because you follow. You pay for a subscription?
I do not.
Did you get one for free?
Yes. I was not paying to any social media.
All right, Mr. Brennan.
Sorry, I have just a few more questions.
It's denied.
I was not paying to any social media.
Okay.
Any other closing thoughts, Yoli, before we go to the grocery store?
Nah, I'm fine.
Okay, if people have made it all the way through our relatively brief episode today, what kind of an emoji should they leave? I have an idea.
Go ahead.
I know it's overused, but how can we not have a telephone? If people have
How
been
about a
with us
race
through-
car
a race car.
or a car?
All right, a race car. Yeah, because the officer you were talking about that went 130 miles an hour. All right.
Post that. Don't forget to post that in the description
Okay,
box.
I will post that. Yoli's story about the officer. Great. I saw it. It was crazy. We had a few technical glitches today, so I tried to bring that up, but I couldn't. But I'll put it down into the description area and post a race car. Do not drive like a race car driver. Be kind in the grocery store or the gas station, but also be decent on the roads. Put the cell phone down. There's no reason to answer it while you're driving your car. Be kind, be polite, chill in your car, and have a good one.
Whether you're in the grocery store, the gas station, or anywhere else, please remember to be kind to people. You don't know what they're going through. And the same goes for our comments section. We want you to comment, but be nice, be kind, be positive if you can. And thank you for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Have a good one.